When 2013 began, Iran's President Ahmadinejad was the sworn enemy of the West. He was feared, and war was a distinct possibility. He repeatedly called the Holocaust a myth and talked about the destruction of Israel.
A red line should be drawn right here.
Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu was warning that Ahmadinejad was just months away from having a nuclear bomb. The Israeli Air Force was illustrating its ability to strike at will. And the U.S. was beefing up its naval presence in the Persian Gulf. The drumbeat for war reached the point that Iranian state television made this documentary dramatizing how Iran would respond to an attack by the West. It was based on a statement by Iran's supreme leader that if Iran was attacked, it would wipe out both Tel Aviv and Haifa. 34 years of distrust was erupting into seething hostility. And then Iran elected a new president. In August, President Hassan Rouhani took office, eager to define himself as a leader nothing like Ahmadinejad. And his choice for foreign minister, Iran's face to the world, was a stunner, Javad Zarif, a man who had spent nearly half his life in the United States. And it was Zarif who launched a new kind of offensive with a surprising tweet on September 4th. Happy Rosh Hashanah. About this time, before you got to New York, you tweeted Happy New Year to the Jewish community. It caused a lot of people to take notice, raise their eyebrows and say, what does this mean, coming from an Iranian official?
Well, because of misunderstandings that arose during President Ahmadinejad's tenure as president, I wanted to send that message that we have nothing against the Jews. We have very strong objections to policies that undermine the rights of Palestinians, trample upon their rights, their self-determination, but nothing against Jews.
Zarif's tweet provoked this tweet from Christine Pelosi, daughter of Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi. Thanks. The new year would have been even sweeter if you would end Iran's Holocaust denial, sir. Which gave Zarif a perfect opening. Iran never denied it. The man who was perceived to be denying it is now gone. Happy New Year. That was the opening round in Twitter diplomacy. Hello, I'm Ann Curry, and this is the inside story of a breathtaking reversal. It is about how the U.S. and Iran began setting aside decades of open, bitter hostility that at times brought them to the verge of war. It is also the story of how Iranian leaders capitalize on social media to transform their image in the West. The Iranian who first tweeted Happy New Year to the Jewish people, Foreign Minister Zarif, had studied at San Francisco State and the University of Denver, then stayed in the U.S. as a diplomat and eventually as an ambassador. He is also a fountain of tweets and Facebook musings, the kind of man who would recognize that YouTube could be a direct pipeline to a global audience.
My name is Javad Zarif, and this is Iran's message.
Naysayers would dismiss Iran's turnaround as the charm offensive. Here was Iran, a country with a history of censoring the internet, using social media with remarkable sophistication. At the center of this story, two men, Secretary of State John Kerry.
If we as a country were going to turn to the world and say, look, there's no alternative but to take military action, you would have to have exhausted the possibilities of diplomacy.
And Iranian Foreign Minister Javad Zarif.
We want to be serious, realistic, frank, and honest. We have a history that's a very difficult history, unfortunately. It doesn't have to be this way.
In this documentary, you will share our extraordinary behind-the-scenes access to both the Iranian and American delegations.
We just don't know yet.
They allowed our cameras in with the understanding that we not broadcast anything while those intense first-step negotiations on Iran's nuclear program were going on.
There was a real sense of the possibility, but there were tough hurdles to get over. And in Geneva, leading right up to my last meeting with Foreign Minister ظریف, there was a possibility it was going to crash.
Secretary Kerry said that right up to the last minute, he felt the whole thing could have blown up.
It could have.
There was so much tension.
It could have. It could have.
Only now can we explain the role of the secret back-channel negotiations, because we in the press didn't tell you about it then because we had no idea they were going on. And we'll show you a surprising YouTube video posted by none other than Iran's new president.